Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the May 10th Smackdown review from North Carolina. Now, was this Smackdown a good one? It wasn't too bad. A lot of very interesting things were done in this Smackdown. I was actually quite surprised about a couple of them, but there were certain things I was not happy about. I want to get them done first. When it comes to Kofi and it comes to Cody Rhodes. Now, Kofi's been stuck in the same place for a whole bunch of years. We already know this. He has been jumping between either the IC title, the US title, or the tag team titles. That's where he mainly works. And there's no problem with it. That's his role. As The Rock would say, know your role. That is where he is. He hasn't been so disgruntled that he wants to leave the company. So that's where he mainly works. But for Cody Rhodes, someone last year who should have been pushed into the main title picture, is really a great letdown. He really went to the IC championship and really made something out of himself. And then when it looked like he was going to be jumped into the world title picture, didn't happen. He just kept staying in the IC title picture. Then he was removed. Then we started with Rhodes Scholars when he should have gone and had the tag team titles. That didn't happen either. So where are we with Cody Rhodes? Cody Rhodes now may be going after the US title. Really? Really? A guy who looks like a main eventer. He has a decent look. Even if he's not big and muscled out like a Ryback, he has a decent look. He has a decent gimmick. He works well in the ring. He speaks well in the ring. He has good in-ring presence. He basically has the 5 tools. Even if it's not 100%, there's at least 80% on almost all of them. He looks good. He sounds good. He wrestles good. But he's still in the US, going to be going to the US Championship. The match really wasn't really much here. I mean, Kofi won. But it was commentary that first started talking that Cody could go into the world title picture. But then we hear from, I believe, a Michael Cole saying that he's going to go for the US Championship, but then still loses to Kofi instead of trying to promote him going into the US Championship. If you're going to actually do it, you should let him win. So that would give him some reason to be into the title picture. It just didn't feel right. I feel sorry for Cody. Honestly, I do. So I'm going to move on to the other match that really wasn't a match, that promoted Extreme Rules, but I think the wrong person got over in this segment. The Biggie Langston versus the Trucker, Jack Swagger. Now, the interview between Zed and that lovely lady who's doing the interviewing. Zed is a good match for a Jack Swagger. Jack does not need to talk. The little line he does all the time with "we the people" is plenty good for him. He's not a good talker. And having Zed Coulter there has really brought up more interest. Is it interesting for me? Not that much, because he's been jobbing too much. I'm really not invested in the Jack Swagger. Yes, he won last week because of beating the crap out of everybody with ladders. Now, when it came to this match, there was no match. This was to get ADR over. But I'm asking you this, folks, and you can tell me below. Who do you believe at this point in the game, with about 9 nights away, should they be promoting more? Should it be Jack Swagger at this point? Should it be ADR? Or your World Heavyweight Champion, Dolph Ziggler? Shouldn't Dolph be the one that's being promoted this SmackDown, this Raw coming, and this next SmackDown coming? Because I do not see no build on him. If they allow him to win Extreme Rules, it really felt empty. Terrible storytelling. This is the worst storytelling you could see. I'm telling you, it is terrible storytelling if they have a world champion and not even letting him talk, not letting him win matches without help, and then when it's really time for the pay-per-view, not promoting him. WWE isn't just dropping the ball with Dolph Ziggler. They don't even like the ball. So why was he even given the belt? Now let's move on to something that was good. The highlight reel in the beginning of the show dealing with a Ryback. Now I really say this again. Ryback really needs a mouthpiece. He is not a great talker. He has improved a little bit because he's getting huge exposure now. When he isn't going, he can talk not very well, but at least he talks where no one's looking at him and go, is he asthmatic? He really needs to drop that bit. He doesn't need it anymore because he's not a Goldberg type of character anymore. The WWE have ruined that. How do I mean by that? A month ago, Ryback was the Goldberg character. A bite off of him. He wasn't 100%. He's a bite off of the Goldberg character. We already know this. And when they switched him from being a wrecking ball to a heel, they didn't make him continue being a wrecking ball. He's no longer a wrecking ball. Before even he turned heel, he was no longer a wrecking ball. He was just a character that reminds you of a Goldberg. Now you have him going in Extreme Rules in 9 nights. And he really is like a shadow of his previous self. Last year he was dominant. When it was, I believe, Money in the Bank. Before Money in the Bank, he was so dominant. So destructive. People were really into him. By then he just started sliding down. What do we have now? A shell of someone who could have gotten over very well as a Goldberg bite-off character. But now they make him a chicken shit heel where he has to use a... It's upsetting. I was really hoping Ryback would get over, and he did. But now like I said to people before, months ago, that I really believe that they're going to let the Ryback character drop, and then Ryback is going to disappear. There's still a possibility this will happen, even if he wins the WWE title. There's a good possibility he will still disappear, particularly after what happens with John Cena. If he does not win in Extreme Rules, I believe he'll drop off the face of the earth. If he does win Extreme Rules and John Cena goes away and comes back and wins again the title, he will still drop off the earth. I do not believe Ryback is going to last much longer. You could see it in this segment. He has never been built properly, so he doesn't even have a proper capability as a mic talker. He barely got a little better. It was Jericho who basically carried that highlight reel segment. He did. Seeing Teddy Long come out and say you're both going to have a match makes me wonder, have they let go of Booker T? And they let go of this little feud they're going to have between each other? I'm hoping not, because it looks like they were structuring it right, but they didn't want to show him. Anyway, the match itself. It wasn't a bad match. It was... Chris carried that match. He did. Chris carried the match between him and Ryback. Ryback still gets tanked. In the end, Ryback DQ'd, even though Chris wins, but he stays dominant, so he'll look good for Extreme Rules. And this is where I'm coming into commentary. During this match, and somewhat periodically through the night, one person was acting very, well, as heelish as they possibly could. And that was Josh Matthews. I was actually surprised that Josh was acting heelish in this match. I was very surprised. Usually it's JBL who acts like the heel. Usually it's Michael Cole, but now Michael Cole is just mainly for information. And he stays as a good guy doing information. You all know this. But Josh Matthews on a SmackDown is beginning to show heelish commentary. I felt strange about it. I said, this guy's never shown any heelish commentary before, and now he's being allowed to? Dude, what does this mean for Josh Matthews? Does this mean they're going to progress him and maybe bring him up? Because we don't have that many heel commentators. The King isn't heelish. Michael Cole isn't heelish. JBL jumps between heelish and being a good guy. So we actually having one heelish commentator is actually quite nice. So I'm going to keep it at that. Now, I'm going to get this over with. Caitlyn and AJ segment with a nice looking Natalya and a very funny looking Khali. What does this mean, this little segment? I'll tell you what it means. If Cody Rhodes is not the one that's sending this. There's only one person I could think of that'll be sending this, and they've already done this more than a few times, and that was Hornswoggle. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see Hornswoggle to be the one that's revealed in doing this. I know I said it before that, oh, fine, it's going to be Hornswoggle. But now that they're still dragging this on, I'm believing it's Hornswoggle. I'll be glad if it's the Bellas. To be honest, as much as I'd rather see Hornswoggle than the Bellas, particularly that I've already said on Raw, my Raw review, that the Bellas look like they're the ones that are trying to get the title because they're trying to trick Caitlyn into believing that she has a secret admirer. So they would be interjected into the title scene because they'll piss her off. To be honest, I don't want to see Hornswoggle again. Hell, I don't even want to see the Bellas do this. I would actually be glad if it was a Cody Rhodes. Even if it's brief. Either one of them, I don't even want to choose either one. I don't. Last week I thought it. This week, no. I don't want to see either one of them in a stupid angle with Caitlyn and the secret admirer crap. If it's Hornswoggle, it's what we've already seen before, and I'm sick of seeing that. If it's one of the Bellas doing this, which it probably is, it just interjects them into the title picture. And as I've said before, I don't hate the Bellas, but they've done the same thing over and over and over again. They're stale. And as much as I've heard at least one person who's one of my subscribers say they have greater stuff, they can do a lot more stuff, they're more charismatic than any women. That may be true, but do we see it? No. They're not as good as you think, my friend. Because if they got to do this to get into the title picture, and again, we're going to see Twin Magic interjected into this. If Twin Magic at any time during the time of a Caitlyn match with a Bella is done, then everything you said makes no sense. Because I haven't seen anything that I haven't seen in the last 4 or 5 years of seeing the Bellas. The Bellas have done the same thing so many years. If they could win a match without a Bella being there, I would be surprised. And if it does happen, fine, I'll take back what I say. But I don't see it happening. So I'm going to move on. Now, The Shield. Dean Ambrose versus a Daniel Bryan was actually a nice match. Kane was there along with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. It wasn't a bad match. In fact, it almost reached the point where it could have been a pay-per-view match. I wouldn't have been against it. But how did it end? Kofi Kingston comes in and interferes in the match. And the Shield wins. So, what does this mean? Oh, what was that? Oh, one of my cats, sorry. What does this mean? This means that they may be having another 6-man tag at Extreme Rules. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Maybe they'll be doing this on a Raw or SmackDown before Extreme Rules. But do I believe that? I don't know. I'm hoping that it'll be over on Raw. Let Kofi and Hell No face the Shield. I don't want to see this on a pay-per-view. I want to see the Shield, 2 members, maybe, like I said, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, go up against Hell No. Those are the ones I believe will get the titles. Those are the ones I want to see this promoted before Extreme Rule comes around. But I don't think they're even going to have enough time to structure it. They haven't even structured it yet. Unless something's about to happen on SmackDown or Raw, which will be stupid. They should have spent more time building it at least a couple of weeks ahead in advance. So, the next thing I want to talk about is... I'm going to get this over with now before the final thing I'm going to talk about. Tensai versus Big Show. Now, we know that the baby oiled one, the Randy Orton, had a interview before the match. He sounded not too bad. He's not great when it comes to speaking, but at least it wasn't terrible. The match itself, it didn't even last a minute. Tensai gave an interesting try, but he got his ass knocked out. But then what do we get? We get RKO to a Big Show. It would have been a Brodus Clay getting a KO punch, the WMD, because he was about to get nailed. But we got a Big Show with an RKO. It would have been better to show more dominance if a Randy Orton must get at least one good shot in, couldn't he get it on a SmackDown the night before? Continue letting the Big Show be dominant would have been a better, wiser move. At least for me. Am I still interested in seeing them match together? I might be a little interested. I don't know if there's a stipulation or not. Maybe there is. One that's going to be coming on Raw. I don't know. Now, final thing I'm talking about that will probably be in my title. World record made. Mark Henry trying to pull 2 tractor trailers. Now, this is something I'm sure more than a few people know, but anyone casual who's a casual fan, Mark Henry, before he became a wrestler, was a weightlifter. And in fact, was in several Iron Man and Strongest Man in the World tournaments where he won. He was considered in more than a few times over the years as the world's strongest man. Now, I can't say that he couldn't pull a tractor trailer. He probably can. 2? Dude, I've seen tractor trailers one behind the other. Not usually side by side. That's just me. I'm sure some other people probably saw it, and I would like to know if you have seen them side by side tractor trailers being pulled. But seeing a Mark Henry pulling 2 tractor trailers, first one, which was, I'm sure he can actually do that. That's not something beyond his capability. Even at the age of 40-something, he still has enough strength that he could do this. Now, if this was actual, that they did show him actually pulling 2 tractor trailers, which is not impossible to do if you're one of those Iron Man type of people. I mean, if you're one of the people who's considered one of the strongest men in the world, I've already seen several videos where more than a few people have pulled a tractor trailer with a hitch on it. It's cool. I am not complaining about this. This is a different side of showing wrestling. Instead of just going to regular wrestling where you hear promo segments where you see guys doing crap, you see Mark Henry pulling. And what do we get? We now find that there's going to be a strap match at Extreme Rules. I said it might have been a Texas bull rope match. But a strap match is not bad either. We haven't had one maybe about a year or two at least 2 years. So how do I find this show? B-. It wasn't bad at all. There were some things I didn't like. I'm not fond of what's going on with Caitlyn showing the secret admirer crap again, because I'm sure it's either horny or it's going to be the Bellas, and they're trying to become into the title picture. So, what's going on with Cody, I'm not fond of. Really, they haven't structured a Ryback properly, but still the show was not bad. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane view. Subscribe and comment to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know people weren't too fond of my Impact review, and I wasn't saying, I know I said the show really sucked because there were things that weren't done properly in it, and I still stand to that. I'm glad that they got great ratings out of it. I'm glad people enjoyed it, but there were certain things I really believe that weren't done properly in that show. And I'm just going to stick with that. But you guys have perfect right to say I don't have any idea what I'm saying. You have perfect right to say it. And I'm glad you did, because I'm glad anybody wants to even comment. I'm very glad about that. So you have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.